Hey there everybody, this is Z-Wink and welcome back to Z-Wink University. We are in our Bug Bounty Bootcamp series where we are talking about everything you need to know to get started in bug bounty on the integrity hacking platform, ethical hacking platform. And you know, bug bounty is this big topic. It's getting more and more popular, right? So we want to make sure that we understand what bug bounty is and how we can make money in it, and the tools we need to use and the training we need to go through, and then ultimately be able to get out there and start hacking targets ethically and making money, making the world a safer place, all that good stuff. Right now, as I've mentioned in previous videos and worth mentioning again, Integrity is Europe's largest bug bounty hunting platform with more than 50,000 researchers, more than 400 active programs, and big old programs like Intel and Red Bull and stuff. Another really cool thing that I love about Integrity that I haven't seen on any other programs is these really cool artwork that they do for people that make the leaderboard or win competitions and stuff like that. So like this guy right here has his own like custom artwork made now because he made the leaderboard, which is really dope. I would love personally to have one of those of me. So one of these days I'm gonna have to get on the leaderboard, I reckon, right? It's on my to-do list. So really think that's cool. Now, in the last video, and you need to have watched all the videos to be caught up here, right? In the last video, we went over the basics of the payload, right? So I actually got the exact same Burp Suite edition open here that we had open last time with all the exact same payloads and everything. And what we did was we talked through what every piece of the screen sort of was, right, in Burp Suite. We talked about, you know, the path and the parameters and the host and the domains and what cookies are and what request headers are and what response headers are and all that good stuff. And we started getting into sort of getting familiar with the software and what it is that we're seeing on the screen, okay? And my nose itches, darn it. So what I wanted to do today, now that we've done a couple of things, we understand what bug bounty is, we understand how to sign up for the Integrity platform, we understand how to get the software working, the tools, Firefox, the VPN, the proxy, Burp Suite, right? Everything's up and running now. Now what we need to do is learn what we can get paid for. Okay, so this is the name of the game, right? If you're treasure hunting, you're out there with a metal detector scanning beaches and ground and stuff, you know what it is you're looking for. But you know, in bug bounty, you can't exactly find gold if you don't know what gold is or where it might be buried. So what we've got to do is learn the basics of what it is that we can get paid for and where we can go to learn those things. Now, I will be the first to tell you that this is a field, and I'm going to open a new tab over here. This is a field where this thing is your friend. Search engines are your friend, right? Google is your friend. DuckDuckGo.com is your friend. You will be constantly learning and researching and typing in terms to find what you need to learn. Don't go ask other people unless you're absolutely desperate. I mean, the internet has all the answers you need out there. You just need to learn how to type things in, hit enter, and then read them. That's how you get good at cybersecurity. That's how you get good at hacking. But I'm going to hold your hand a little bit here in Bug Bounty Bootcamp because it's a boot camp, and we're going to teach you some places you can go that will help you get started. So, with that in mind, what I would say, you can pick between two places is what I would recommend as your absolute first two places to go. That would be the Portswigger Web Security Academy, and it's a free web academy that has lots of information on it. And this is the maker of the Burp Suite software that we do a lot of our testing with, right? This is an academy where you go, you create a free account, and then once you have a free account, you have all of these labs and learning materials you can go through. So, like if I click on learning materials here, it's got all these different types of vulnerabilities, and these are all things you should be able to get paid for in bug bounty. So it stands to reason that if you see something on the screen and you don't know what it means, let alone how to find it, you're probably not going to find it and get paid for it on a bug bounty platform, right? So my recommendation would be to pick a couple of these you want to start with, or just go through them all, right, and try to conquer all of these different labs on the Portswigger Web Security Academy before you go out trying to make money. Similarly, Try Hack Me is a little newer than Portswigger as far as I know, but they're getting really popular, and they've got like lanes sort of that you can get into, like the junior penetration tester lane, right? And it's got a web security path, introduction to web hacking. So you can go through and learn here as well. And this one's maybe a little more gamified and a little bit more step-by-step than the Portsbigger Web Security Academy. So if you like maybe the game feel and that it's got, you know, constant widgets and updates and certificates and stuff like that, you can get awarded. This is another thing you can do to try to learn the content and then practice it in real time through virtual environments. Now, once you get comfortable with the content in these sorts of areas, you can then take it a step further if you want to, and then get a subscription to something like Hack the Box, which is on the screen right here, where you can go and spin up like basically hundreds of web environments that have vulnerabilities in them and go try to hack them. And Hack the Box is a little different, right? Because it has flags that you can try to get, and that's only when you get the flag have you actually achieved the lab, right? So there's sort of this idea of a user flag, which means you've sort of taken over the application or something, and then this idea of a root flag, which means you've compromised the host that the application's running on, which is a level deeper. So it's a little bit more deep than you need for bug bounty, but it's still nonetheless really good training. And if you go through some of the older Hack the Box environments, there's usually solutions on YouTube, like videos or something, so you don't have to be able to solve them yourself. Like if you get stuck and you can't figure out what's going on, you can still use them as a learning environment, learning tool, by just going out and reading either forum posts or blogs or write-ups or YouTube videos on how to solve the lab. And then that could be a great learning tool, but I really recommend trying them yourself first and not giving up, because just like in a real web environment, you're not usually going to have hints or somebody to help you get paid for your bugs. And then there's this really new, I think it's only been out about a year or so, from the famous Zishano on Twitter, right? And he started up a bugbountyhunter.com, and it's got some environments you can sign up for to try your skills out. And it's like set up just like a real bug bounty environment, except you don't get paid for it. So you get to practice finding bugs, doing the write-ups on bugs. He triages them himself, tells you if you found them, and I think there was like hundreds of bugs in his system called Barker. I think there's only 15 in this fast food hacking one right here, and it's just as simple as literally clicking a button, and now you've got this really cool thing with known vulnerabilities you can try to hack on. So lots of options out there on the internet, right? And I think, where's Barker at? I might be on the wrong. Let's just go to bugbountyhunter.com. Anyway, I think you actually have to sign up for that one. For Barker, I think that's a paid membership. But he does have that one on here for the 15 free vulnerabilities you can try out. Yeah, so that one's a paid membership. But anyway, lots of good options out there, most of which are free. Now, let's look at a single example here today, I think, just, of how you could go through and learn this kind of stuff. So let's just do something like cross-site scripting, right? Let's talk through that a little bit, and we'll go to reflected cross-site scripting as a good starting point. You find a lot of these out there on the internet. The lab will walk you through what reflected cross-site scripting is, and then as you sort of get to understand it a little bit, there'll be this whole like lab underneath it that says, okay, well, what do I do with this lab now? So you can click the lab. What do I do with this lab? They give you the solution on this, but I don't recommend clicking that button because it takes the fun out of it, right? This lab is just saying, let's try to find a reflected cross-site scripting and the search functionality. They're telling you where it is, so that already makes it easier. And then it says to solve the lab, perform cross-site scripting attack that calls the alert function. So let's look at that, and I'll just show you how this kind of works and how you can do it from your home, given what I showed you in the last video. Right? Because we want to take it to the next level. So you've made a free account on Portsbigger Web Security Academy at this point, and you want to start playing with the labs. Here's how you connect them to Burp Suite and get to working, right? So as I mentioned in the last video, you already have the proxy set up. It's already connected to our free community edition of Burp Suite. And now we're going to press access the lab. This should open an environment that is unique to you. It's going to have a random ID generated. And it's a virtual playground where you can't hurt anything, you can't do any harm. You've got some romantic couple here that looks really uncomfortable, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I would not sit on the handlebars like that. But there's usually some entertaining, random clip art and things in these. And we get issued up here at this new URL. So I'm gonna copy this URL address. I'm just gonna copy it, and I'm gonna come over here to our scope. We're gonna take integrity back out of the scope. That was something we were playing with last time for funsies. And I'm just going to put the host in here, and I don't even need to do all that, do I? Let's just do /websecurityacademy/.net, right? And that'll pick up any labs that I decide to play with here. So now let's come over and refresh our página. Okay, page has been refreshed, And now you can see all the things we didn't request that are on the screen, and you can see that we got our root and Academy lab there. Good deal. So the lab told us that we want to find cross-site scripting in a search box. So let's talk through that, right? What's happening here? Okay, the search box is going to take something that we give it on the client, and it's going to send it to the server. Now, how it sends it to the server is completely up to the developer that made the search box. It could simply be a GET request with a parameter called search or something and then some stuff after it. It could be a POST request with a payload body containing the search parameters. There's multiple ways to do this. So let's just send it a canary. Now, whenever I test search forms or test parameters, I like to send it a canary. So I'm going to hit function F12. What's a canary? Well, it's a bird. You could send it a snake if you'd rather, but the point being is you want to send it something unique. I like XSS720p. I haven't actually encountered that canary in the wild before. It's very simple and easy to remember, so I'm going to send it XSS720p. I just started doing that and didn't stop, so it's now my go-to canary. And as we can see up here, it sent a GET request with, it actually did use a parameter called search and XSS720p up there. So what that lets us do is very quickly, in case something was screwy, kind of find where what we sent comes back out. So let's look real quick at what's happening on the screen. If we go over to the inspector and type in XSS720p now, what that's going to do is show us in the code where our search term was reflected. And all we can really tell from this right now is that our text was reflected back into a H1 or header tag. That's basic HTML. That's our header 1 tag, the big header usually. So that's H1. Now, what we can sometimes do is try to get code inserted where it's not supposed to be inserted. So right now, if we want to put some malicious code in here, pretty much any code that we type in between these headers would execute. There's not a lot of other stuff we have to do to close out the existing brackets or anything fancy, right? Like we could probably just put in some script tags and an alert 1. But what I would like to show you, let's see what happens with quote marks. Because I always like to test quote marks and see what's happening in case we did have to get rid of them. We don't here, but let's say we did. So let's do XSS123 single quote and a double quote, and then let's make an underline tag of test. Now, I made a Twitter post comment or something to somebody the other day, so this just came up. I'm like, I like to test injection points using underline tags, bold tags, italics tags like this, things that are generally whitelisted by all WAFs and websites. And so it lets you find injection points and then worry about defeating content types and WAF restrictions and things later, web application firewall restrictions. Some might be, if I try to script tag right now, right, it might be configured to block a script tag. So let's do a U, right? And so let's send that and see if we get an underlined text back. Yeah. So XSS123, we search back in the inspector again, and what we see here is that quotes are definitely being written out as quotes, double quotes are being written as double quotes. There's basically no content filtering at all. So had there been a JavaScript function or something here, we probably could have escaped it as well. We don't need to worry about that. But what we're seeing is that HTML tags are being written out as HTML tags. So let's go a little bit outside of the scope here and just say I want to type in test, and then I want to add an iframe. Now the reason I want to mention this is because sometimes you can't get cross-site scripting, but you can get an iframe. And an iframe is just an inline frame that you put into a web page that references another website or another web page. It could be on the same domain, it could be on an external domain. It really depends on some header values and things and what you're allowed to do. But let's just say we want to load in I just happen to know this website allows being loaded in a remote frame. So let's just try that and see what happens. Oh, la-di-da. Okay, cool. So a couple things happen here. A, the search box no longer comes up. We killed it. And B, we did get an inline frame right now. Now, what you see up here in the top, this is now a URL you could send to anybody, right? And you could potentially make something else come up on the screen and take up the whole screen. And I want to go through this exercise before we go into the cross-site scripting, because in bug bounty, usually a reflected iframe or any sort of iframe injection is a P3 as well. So if you can't get cross-site scripting, fall back to form-based, HTTP injection, iframe injection, things like that. And I think it's worth trying. So this to me isn't particularly scary. But let's say we had made a web page that said, you know, enter your username and password to log in, and sort of the same look as the website that you were linked to. Somebody's probably very likely to type in their username and password if they think it's coming from the host. So like if this was twitter.com and I put the Twitter login page right in the middle of the screen, you might think, oh crap, I got logged out, I need to log back in again. Well, we can take this a step further now and start giving it style attributes, and now I'm just going to do it up here. And you can say style equals, and this is just where getting into cascading style sheets can be useful, right? Let's say position, absolute, okay, and we're going to say top 0, left 0, width, what is my 1920 pixels, height 1080 pixels, border 0. All right, let's do that and see if it takes over the whole screen. Okay, we got closer. Why did it start there? Maybe it has to be 0 pixel. Oh, I didn't put a colon after left. You can't find good help these days. Okay, let's try that. Bum, bum, bum. Now, as you can see, we have completely taken over this website now. So this is why iframes are dangerous. All I did was basically use cascading style sheets to get rid of the border of the iframe and tell it the iframe position should be at the top left corner of the website. And by doing so, now if I send this link to somebody else, I can make the web page look like anything I want to, and basically steal their credentials. I can make it look like the Twitter's login page, or you know, your PayPal login, or just, you know, whatever it is you're trying to do. So personally, to me, iframe injection is very dangerous, especially if you're able to achieve cascading style sheet sort of stuff with it. So now, you know, I can put a page anywhere on the internet I want to, and you know, we have effectively, and see, the overflow indicators here are really the only things that look quirky to me. We've got these bars, right? And there's even a CSS option that turns those off. I believe it's overflow : none. You know, you live long enough, you just learn this crap, and that did not work. So maybe it's overflow -x. It might be hidden. I'd have to go look up exactly how that works. Anyway, there's a way to hide the overflow bars. I'm not worried about that right now. So let's get back to what we were doing. I wanted to show you iframe injection because it's really fun to have these test environments that are completely unrestricted like this. And I have found many of these in the wild out there on bug bounty targets, right? The iframe injections that people for whatever reason don't look for. And iframes sometimes make it past the content filtering and things that people come up with. So now we're just right back to our regular website. We just got rid of the parameter. This is a good thing to understand for the noobs out there, right? You newbies just getting into bug bounty. That was just a client-side injection, okay? Yes, the search went to the server. The server tried to process the search, but then the actual rendering of the content was client-side only. I did not affect the entire server nor all the users. This was not a stored injection, okay? Had this been like a form, let's view a post real quick, and let me see if I can make this point. Yeah, so if I'm able to leave a comment down here, and there's an injection vulnerability in this comment, now anybody that loads this post on the internet would then be able to see what I injected, and that's a higher level vulnerability. That's a stored injection vulnerability, which is often a P2 instead of a P3, because you don't require user interaction now to execute it, right? It just executes anytime somebody loads the page. Whereas with what we just saw up here, you actually have to send it to a user, and the user has to click on it or something. So that's sort of the user interaction makes it a lower tier severity. Now, back to what we were doing before. To achieve cross-site scripting, when you don't have any restrictions like this, it's really, and there's a million different ways we could get code execution on the page right now, but we'll just go the most simple. We will just type in script, which denotes to HTML, you know, that I'm going to run script inside these brackets, and then I'm going to say alert 1. Alert is a function in JavaScript, and all you have to do to check and see if it's working is enter a integer or something in there. You can make it do anything, though. We can make it say alert document.cookie, which will alert the cookies on our page, and we'll just see what that does. Let's do a searchy search here. Okay, so the websecurityacademy.net cookies popped up. I don't think we have any. Yeah, there's a session cookie, but it must not, yeah, it's got HTTP only. So, good. So our cookie pop-up worked, and good, the session value is secure and can't be stolen by JavaScript in this manner. So in order to solve this lab, they told us we had to get an alert 1 to pop up. Let's have a little more fun with it, right? Let's insert an anchor link. So we're going to do an A, and then say on click, right, equals alert 1, just easy stuff here. And then it's not easy if you haven't been in cybersecurity, right, or in bug bounty hunting for a while. I strongly recommend in your training that you go and learn basics of HTML and JavaScript, because it's basically what you're going to be monkeying with on the internet to start with. So if you don't recognize any HTML tags or any JavaScript, it's going to be kind of funky for you to learn what you're doing to play with it, right? I mean, B is for bold, right? B is for bold. Hello, I am Z-Wing. So B is for bold. We send a bold tag in. We now get a bold hello, I am Z-Wing. It's kind of almost like a little console. We can do whatever we want with it here, right? What I was going to show you, we could do so many different injections, but let's just do an anchor tag. So we were doing on-click. On-click, anything that starts with an on inside of a tag is known as a JavaScript event handler. JavaScript event handlers are programmed to run a JavaScript function or do a JavaScript thing when an action of a certain type has occurred. This is an on-click event, which means when somebody on-clicks, in other words, clicks the hyperlink that's going to show up on the page, a thing will happen. So we're going to tell it to do alert 1 like that, and then now we'll actually give the hyperlink a name, like don't click me, right? And then everybody clicks something that says don't click me, of course. So let's do a search there, and now we've got a hyperlink, right? And we should be able to click that. That then does an alert of 1, which then probably solves our lab. No, okay, I don't remember what we had to do to solve the lab. Maybe you just have to go absolute basic. Let's see if we can solve the lab first. Okay, yeah, it literally wanted me to only put it in script tags. So it's a little constrained, right? Like their idea of a solution to the lab is looking for a very specific payload that it told you to execute. Because I decided to put it in an anchor tag and still got the pop-up and didn't realize that I solved it. That's okay. What else is worth mentioning here on this? It's so much fun you can have, right? I don't know. I think that's probably a good stopping point. So what we covered here today is a couple things. The interactions, right? So we could have done all of this over here as well, but sometimes when you have something like a search box, it's fun to be able to do it on the screen. Now, let me see if Community has an active scan built into it. Send a repeater. I don't see active scan. No, it's grayed out. Okay, worth noting. It's good to have a scanning function. Okay, so the Community Edition doesn't come with the active scan tools, it appears like. When you pay for the professional version, you could have just as easily taken this right here, right-clicked and said send to active scan, and then you could have had all these extensions on that are programmed to look for various sorts of injections, and you could have walked off and had coffee and come back and it would have found a cross-site scripting injection for you. Now, this is not an injection that every hacker would miss. Like this is the type of injection that just about every hacker would find on a bug bounty target. This is a pretty easy example because there's nothing complicated, manual, whatever that has to happen in order to execute this. However, if the WAF was blocking script tags, right, and your scanner was running, it may not realize that you can actually get cross-site scripting here. It may just say like input reflected in response or something like that. Doesn't realize it's a true cross-site scripting because the WAF's blocking it. And then if you come over and start manually fiddling with it and realize you can get iframe tags or other tags through, you may be able to still escalate or do something interesting with it. So don't always rely on the scanners, right? Just wanted to note that this is sort of the thing that the people with the scanners or Kali Linux tools where maybe you don't have to pay for the same sort of functions would probably find that because you always want to check out in detail anything that's got parameters, right? This is send a repeater, post ID equals 5. What happens if I change it to 500? Does it say not found? Wow, that was really ironic. It literally said exactly not found. I could have made this website. What happens though if you give it like A, B, C, D, E, F, G instead of a number? Does it blow up? Invalid blog post ID, okay. What happens if you give it like a null byte or something? Does it, so you just kind of toy with things manually and then you get tired of manually toying with them and you send it to the scanner and maybe it finds something for you. Depends on what it is you're looking for and how much effort you want to go to, right? But main takeaway for today in Bug Bounty Bootcamp is you've got to understand what you can get paid for to be able to go out and find bugs. I think too many people watch a couple videos and they're like, I'm ready, I saw Z-Wink's videos and I'm ready, but no, you're not. you need to go and, if you just watch my videos, you'll probably be good at like two things, right? IDORs and something. But you need to go out to these labs, right, and practice. Learn the different things that you need to learn to get paid for, and then go practice on them. And I really think if you did the Web Academy, the Try Hack Me's, and then probably progress into some paid content if you feel like it, like Hack the Box and Bug Bounty Hunter, right, from Zsono, you will be more than ready to come back over to the Integrity #1 ethical hacking bug bounty platform and make lots of euros, because that's what people in Europe pay you. I don't know why they're not on US dollars. They're just not. So you're going to get paid in euros, which are still really cool. Actually, I think you get paid in your local currency, let's be honest. They convert it to like 80 different currencies, and I don't know how they do that. It's way over my head. But you'll get paid in whatever you're supposed to get paid in. Not the point. Stay tuned for the next video where we're going to definitely go over something. But I want everybody to be able to, be ready to get out there and bug bounty hunt. And I think we're off to a blazing start here. I'm probably going to just keep going through different bug bounty vulnerability types. Because, what we just went over today was the basics of reflected cross-site scripting. That's a big one you're going to want to hunt for in the wild, because it's all over the place and ranges between sort of a P3 and a P2. Worth noting, there's this idea of self-reflected XSS. You have to make sure, or any kind of self-XSS really, you need to make sure that when you find a cross-site scripting, it's possible to send the link to somebody else and have it execute for them, and it's not just in your account or in your profile. Because if you can't have the cross-site scripting execute for somebody other than you, it's not really going to be a vulnerability you're likely to get paid for. Unless you can prove that somehow an administrator may stumble onto your profile or something, right? And you'll run into those in the wild. But yeah. Anyway, that was fun, people. Stay tuned for the next episode, and we are going to get into more hackzering. Have a good one. Bye.